And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stonehill College basketball from the Merkert Gymnasium on the campus of Stonehill College, Paula Sullivan Court. Welcome to Skyhawks basketball tonight. Stonehill welcomes in the Greyhounds of Assumption College in a doubleheader. We'll feature the women first, coming up in just about 5 minutes or so, and then followed by the men. We're just getting a little bit organized here as we get ready for tonight's game. Steve Zerdelian is alongside. Again, it's a pleasure to have you as always, Steve. Two good teams, a lot of great games over the years with these two. But Stonehill comes in ranked 19th in one poll, in the coaches poll. They're unranked, but would you have expected that with what they did a year ago and where they are now?
I would not have expected it coming out of the gate, Charlie, simply because there's such a turnover in terms of personnel. But on the floor, they've done the business, really. The only loss is against Bentley, top 5 in both of those national polls. So a program that has been proven over the years, getting off to a good start, the numbers tell the tale. So in that sense, yeah, they belong there.
7-1 overall, 4-1 in the Northeast 10. The Greyhounds under Kerry Fair, a record of 5-3 overall. They are 3-2 in league play, and we're seeing that same theme. These NE10 teams that go out of conference seem to dominate, but when they get back into the NE10, the real world hits them right in the mouth.
It's quite the dogfight in the Northeast 10. Both divisions. The Southwest is a complete mess. Everybody's got at least one win and one loss in the Southwest, so that's even tighter. But the level of competition in this Northeast division is really good. And with the exception, respectively, of Franklin Pierce and maybe St. Michael's these days, everybody else is competitive all the time. This Assumption team gave Bentley their toughest test, and it was in Waltham a few weeks ago, and that was a game up until the last couple of minutes. So let's not take Assumption lightly. This is a team that I think has accelerated their developmental curve this year, and they've got one of the most productive players in the region in Morgan O'Donnell.
Third leading scorer in the NE10, averaging 20 points per game. So she'll lead the offense for the Greyhounds. For Stonehill, their leading scorer is their freshman, Kayla Raymond, and she will be sitting tonight, missing again tonight after not playing this weekend as well up at St. Mike's. And according to the coaching staff, not a cause for alarm, but just another game or two, maybe just to rest her early in the season.
Yeah, they're taking the long view, and that's obviously the prudent way to go about it. She missed the trip to St. Michael's not too long ago, and she didn't play the other day at Franklin Pierce. Stonehill was able to prevail in both of those games. This one will be a different challenge, though. Stonehill's not a team that scores a lot of points. They average a little over 67 a game, but you take her out of the mix, and they average less than 50 points per game. So we know the defense is going to be there. We know that they're still going to rebound as a group, those two things that have been constants for Stonehill. But the big question tonight, Charlie, is who is going to pick up the offensive slack for Kayla Raymond? And I don't mean that you need to get 18 more points out of it, but at those key times, where do they go for the points? Who do they look to? And who's dependable? That's really the question that Trish Brown is going to have to answer.
And their 5'10 senior Madi Diabate will get the start as she did in that game over the weekend at St. Mike. She's averaging 8 points a game. You and I have seen her play her now for her 4th year. She's been plagued by injuries, but she's just one of those players that can be so explosive. And if you're looking for someone who could give you some double digits, I would suspect you could start with her.
And she was outstanding at Franklin Pierce. Scored a team-high 15 points, made 7 of 8 shots, and her athleticism sets her apart from a lot of players at this level. The question for her, other than the injuries, has obviously been consistency. Has she been able to sustain it when she's had the opportunity to get those minutes? The answer, unfortunately, has been no for most of her career, but now, whether Kayla Raymond is available or not, you may get a situation where she's got an opportunity to carve out minutes, whether it's as a starter or off the bench. These are opportunities for her that she really needs to take and run with in a game like this. They need her to be productive. They need her to be consistent and a threat.
And I was watching her, too, when she was warming up, and she just has so much energy, and she'll bring that to this starting crew. A Stonehill team that comes in 6th best in the NE10 scoring, but the Hounds are right with them. It's pretty much a dead heat as far as points are concerned. Stonehill defensively, as you said, has been terrific, and that's a hallmark of a team that has been run by Trish Brown, and she has for 18 years.
Yeah, they lead the league in fewest points allowed, 51.5. They're second in field goal difference, third in three-point difference. On the flip side, Assumption they give up the most points in the NE10, over almost 68 a game, and they're dead last in field goal defense. So there's a contrast there at the defensive ends of the floor. We'll see if the Skyhawks can take advantage of that tonight.
Have a moment of silence in just a moment, and then our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you now please rise and remove your hats? Before we play our national anthem, the college would like to observe a moment of silence on this National Day of Mourning in honor of our 21st President of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, who passed away on Friday. Thank you. And now, for the playing of our national anthem.
And just about set to get started with game one of our doubleheader. Hounds and the Skyhawks. Just about set to get underway. Starters for the Hounds tonight will be 5'5" sophomore Megan Reen, starting alongside 5'8" junior Brianna Capaccioni, 5'9" sophomore Megan Cram, 6'1" sophomore Tammy Falai, and 6'1" senior Morgan O'Donnell. Touched on Morgan O'Donnell earlier. Steve, 20 points per game. If this were Bill Belichick, I guess we would just be looking at Trish Brown just trying to shut her down, but you've got other players who can score. In fact, two other players who are averaging in double figures in Capaccioni and in Megan Cram.
Yeah, one of Assumption's hallmarks over the years have been multiple perimeter players that can contribute. Usually not players that lead the team in scoring, but Capaccioni has had a nice breakout year. Cram had a career high the other day, and we see Abby McKenna coming off the bench as well. So they've got some perimeter options. They don't need them all to be firing on the same day, but if you get one or maybe two to support O'Donnell, it makes them a lot tougher to handle.
Both teams are very, very good at moving the ball, both in the top four in assists thus far in this early portion of the season. The Hounds fourth, the Skyhawks second. As the remainder of the Greyhounds are being announced, Stonehill will be in their home white with the purple letters and numbers. The Hounds will be in their blue, traveling blue uniforms. And for the Skyhawks, as we said, Kayla Raymond, who for a third time this week was named as the NE10 Rookie of the Week. I did mention that last week, that there would be at least another time. I didn't think it would be the week after, but...
Probably not, but she only played one game last week, too.
So the 5'11" freshman sits tonight. Starting for the Skyhawks will be 5'10" junior Kelsey Shaw, starting alongside 5'11" sophomore Jennifer Warden, 5'10" senior Made Diabate, 6' junior Gabrielle Reuter, and 5'7" junior Grace Carter. I think we're really starting to see Gabrielle Reuter pick up her game as well as she played on the road over the last week and a half or so.
Yeah, she's a sneakily athletic player. She's long. She runs the floor well, and she's getting better at taking the right shots. She's shooting almost 48% from the floor, and the range is stretched out toward the foul line now, which gives her something a little extra. I think the next step in her development is, in that situation, high post, if she can get the ball, turn and face, and put it on the floor and go to the basket. That would give her even more of a varied arsenal, but one step at a time. She's built her offensive game piece by piece over the last few years, and now you can count on her for a nice solid game. She'll give you double figures sometimes. She'll rebound, and she's going to block some shots too. She's among the best in the region at that.
Just watching her as you watch the play unfold, she's just become much more active underneath. She can pop out for you as well, but she has certainly established herself as the start of this season for Trish Brown. And the Skyhawks and Hounds are ready to go.
Well, Stonehill swept this series last year, winning here at the Merkert Gym 74-63. Kelly Martin scored 37 points in those 2 victories. Of course, Morgan O'Donnell had 33 points in those 2 games. So she's capable of 30 plus. She's already done it twice this year, including a program record 39 against Merrimack.
Well, they go back door, and good defense from Carter as she was able to catch up to Capiccioni. And the Skyhawks have the ball for the first time tonight. In the corner is Jennifer Warden. Back outside, Carter. Long jumper won't go for Reuter, but the offensive rebound, and there's Diabate. Now straight ahead, Carter. Back down inside, Reuter. Diabate ducks under, can't get it. Good defense that time from Jordan Hawkins, the 6'2 senior. Now driving inside and scoring is Megan Cram, the 5'9 sophomore, averaging 10 points per game.
Scored 24, a career high in their win over Southern New Hampshire last time out.
They loop it down inside. Again, good defense that time from Morgan O'Donnell. And here's Capiccioni.
It's a bad angle to make that pass. You're forcing it straight down the lane. You need to go to the perimeter and then back up top to create a lane.
Inside out for the 3 ball, thrown in by Megan Reen. Shoots just 25% outside the arc. Gives her team the first 5 points. Diabate now for Warden. Shaw kicks it to the wing. That 3 ball is too strong for Grace Carter. And out of the pack comes Reen. Or check it now for Capiccioni. Nothing there for O'Donnell, so they'll come back outside for Reen. Shot clock down to 10 seconds. Capiccioni for O'Donnell. Capiccioni again, good defense, and the steal.
Yeah, a really nice sequence for Stonehill that time. Allowed absolutely no penetration for the Greyhounds.
Carter for Reuter. Diabate and now Shaw. Carter with the shot clock at 12. Tries it and got it.
This little pull-up by Grace Carter. That's only her 3rd 2-point field goal of the season. She's got 15 threes, so usually does her best work a little further away from the rim.
Averaging 8 points per game. Hounds with a 3-point lead, and a 5-second violation. They did.
They don't see that very often.
I was just going to say that. Have we seen
truthfully,
that this year?
Truthfully, I haven't seen that all year.
And if you saw it a handful of times last year, that was a lot.
That was a lot. But again, that goes back to Stonehill's defense. Everybody with off-ball defense denying and moving their feet. So there was nowhere to go for the Greyhounds.
Your body now for Carter. Left Reuter alone, and Carter will come back up top instead for Jennifer Warden. Warden for Diabate for 2.
That's a really difficult play. It was a quick screen and slip, and there wasn't much space there, but Warden delivered it perfectly.
Megan Cram for the Hounds, straight away for Jordan Hawkins. Nothing for Reen. Capiccioni. Shot clock to 10. Reen tried to use the O'Donnell screen, get double teamed again. Capiccioni's going to have to let it go. Oh, they're going to call a foul. Trish Brown can't believe the call. Jennifer Warden, arms extended. And that'll be 3 free throws, literally out of nothing for Brianna Capiccioni.
I am not a fan of that call because now you're rewarding a team that did not play good offense on that particular trip. Stonehill was terrific, and if anything, you could claim that Cappuccioni jumped into Warden. So that, to me, that's just a bailout call that, sometimes officials just go by the letter of the rule book and don't get a feel for the game. That, to me, is a feel for the game kind of a call. And if you don't have a feel for the game, that's the kind of call you make.
2 out of free 3 throws for Cappuccioni.
I know Stonehill gave up a couple of points on that trip, but their last few defensive sequences have been really good.
Carter just ran out of room, and the ball stolen on the end line by Jordan Hawkins.
Carter got up in the air with no idea what she was going to do with the basketball. At that point, there's no pass on. He might as well shoot it. She was no more than 6 feet from the basket.
Hawkins had a pass deflected, but Reen able to track it down. And again, the shot clock down to 10. Reen for Cappuccioni. Cram driving, won't get anything there, and bodies fly on the baseline, but they'll call the shot clock violation. No harm, no foul. Great defense again by Stonehill.
Yeah, Stonehill has some really good individual defenders. Diabati, obviously, with her athleticism, Reuter with her length and her positional ability, and Jen Warden on the perimeter. She is very long, and she's active defensively, very efficient with her movements. It's really tough to find any space against players like this who defend well.
Emily Bramante into the game now for Stonehill with the ball up top. Now working her way through the lane, and we're going to get a whistle and a foul as Taylor Warnham will get free throws. And they'll call the foul on Morgan O'Donnell. First foul on O'Donnell.
Well, if there's one area that Stonehill would like to improve in, it's at the foul line. Bottom third in the NE10 at 66%.
And that's very unusual for this crew. They're usually in the upper echelon, and Warnham doesn't help with their first miss. Just a 50% free throw shooter this season. And 1 out of 2 for Warnham. Averaging just 3 points, but 5 rebounds per game for the Skyhawks. Some pressure in the backcourt.
She gives a good physical presence as well. Very active despite being a banger type of a player.
Jamie Falai, Brittany LeBlanc in the game now for the Hounds. And there's LeBlanc driving and scoring.
I think Warden was looking for some baseline help there. She funneled her toward the baseline, but no rotation to get any help. So it looks like she got beaten off the dribble, but scheme-wise, they want to funnel players there to get some help.
Inside, that's a nice look, and there's 2 for Gabrielle Reuter. Nice interior pass by Kelsey Shaw, and the Skyhawks back to within 2. LeBlanc for Cappuccioni, driving the baseline, ran out of room. O'Donnell will come back outside for LeBlanc. Shot clock to 10. Straight away for Lai. Now Cappuccioni. Running out of time, 3 seconds to shoot. They go inside and around the rim and in for Falai, the 6'1" sophomore. So the Hounds using a lot of clock each time down the floor. Now the backdoor cut on the baseline, saving it on the end line was Kelsey Shaw, but then right into the hands of Megan Cramp.
I'm not sure that using all that time is by design.
No, I think it's just been good defense, and there's a reach and foul on the Skyhawks. And they'll call that on Taylor Warnham, her first. Greyhounds by 4.
Assumption on a 3-game winning streak coming into this one. Their best run of the year. Non-league win over Georgian Court, and then back-to-back NE10 wins over St. Michael's and Southern New Hampshire. The Southern New Hampshire win is, you could argue, that's their best one of the season. They made 11 threes in that game.
Abby McKenna, the 5'9" senior, back in for Assumption. Morgan O'Donnell will sit. Jordan Hawkins replaces her. O'Donnell scoreless early on. League's 3rd leading scorer, and we have a lane violation of the turnover back to the Skyhawks. Morgan O'Brien into the game now for the Skyhawks, as is Madison Seymour. We'll check it. It's just Seymour, not O'Brien, not yet anyway. Oh, there she is in there. I'm looking all over the floor for it. I didn't see her as driving the baseline as Madison Seymour for 2. Kept looking around and I didn't see her.
She was there. She was just hiding. She was hiding in plain sight.
Down inside, that's got to be a travel, and it is on Falai.
Yeah, now I know Stonehill hasn't led in this game, and they're down by 3, but I really like their defensive focus so far today. You know, you take a bad call on the whistle and a couple of late shot clock possessions that are some scored, and I think that gives Stonehill a basis for being in this game all the way. Again, the question is offensively. They've scored 9 points here in 7 minutes.
They go down inside, backdoor cut. That time unable to finish it was Seymour on the nice pass from Morgan O'Brien.
Rushed it.
Down the other end setting, and the 3-ball won't fall for Abby McKenna. And Bramante will come the other way for the Skyhawks, trailing by 3. Now Carter deflected out to midcourt.
Nice recovery by Seymour to get there.
Now Carter driving and scored the basket and the foul. Prayer answered for Grace Carter. Just threw that up over her head, just hoping to draw the foul, and did. And the foul on the Greyhounds called on Jordan Hawkins, her first.
Carter's now doubled her 2-point output for the season.
But again, free throws an issue for the Skyhawks, and they trail by 1.
It's a concern. Carter shoots only 50% at the line. In fact, the only regulars that shoot well are Diabate, who hasn't missed one, and Kayla Raymond, who is in street clothes.
Ball deflected again. Good defense by the Skyhawks. Here's Bramante one-on-one with Cappuccioni. Can't finish. Offensive rebound knocked out of the hands of Morgan O'Brien. Down the other end, it's McKenna for 2.
You know, I saw a couple of occasions inside where Stonehill players are rushing the shot, or they're not gathering and taking a good pump fake and going up strong. That just comes with experience.
Inside 2 minutes to go here in this first quarter, and getting caught in jail that time was Bramante, double teamed, and back the other way comes LeBlanc for Cappuccioni. And now LeBlanc once again. Straight away for Hawkins. And a travel on Cappuccioni. I don't think they'll be sending this video to Springfield anytime soon.
I'm not sure they want to send it to Worcester either. But this is really what you expect from Stonehill defensively. Assumption, again, I touched on it. They have not had a great defensive start to the season, but they've been very creative in finding ways to have success.
The Skyhawks missing their leading scorer in Raymond, who is sitting from the wing. The 3-ball thrown in by Grace Carter. She found her element again, Steve.
Now, that's really the Grace Carter that Stonehill fans want to see. And so far, she's got half of the points, so a nice start for her.
All even, final minute of the opening quarter. Straight away, Catherine Golden. Now for Falai. Straight away for LeBlanc. 8 seconds to shoot. McKenna trying to muscle her way through, throws it up, won't get it. Nice offensive rebound and the putback for Jordan Hawkins.
Now, McKenna might have gotten away with a double dribble while she was spinning. She was not really in control of herself. Again, another one, I'll say this is probably the 3rd or 4th time that Stonehill's had a good defensive sequence, and Assumption has managed to score.
Skyhawks can wait for the final shot here. About a 1 second differential between the game clock and shot clock. But from the baseline, Made Diabate says, now I'll just throw it in from here, but this will give the Hounds one more chance. Final 5 seconds of the quarter. LeBlanc, all good defense that time by the Skyhawks, most notably Gabrielle Reuter. And we're all even after 10 minutes. Stonehill 16, Hounds 16.
Well, nice recovery for Stonehill after giving up the first 5 points. And had Grace Carter leading them in scoring, and so far defensively they've done a good job of not giving Morgan O'Donnell any looks. Maybe it is the Belichick approach. O'Donnell, in fairness, O'Donnell hasn't really been aggressive in trying to get her shots. I don't think she's actually taken a shot. So that's a good sign for Stonehill, but it's a reasonable start here, and the question will be sustaining the offense. I do like what Jen Warden is doing in terms of penetrating and finding teammates. She's got the size to finish at the rim. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more of that down the line, but you know, she is their best penetrator and best creator once you get below the foul line.
Trish Brown, though, as you said, there were 2 or 3 occasions where the shot clock was down to 1 or 2 seconds and the Hounds were able to score. Got to believe that she's telling her team, just keep doing that. That's just exceptional defenses. They really have been able to dig in for 25, 28 out of 30 seconds almost every time down the floor.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with the way they're playing defense. And if you do that over 40 minutes, I mean, eventually, unless you run into a really hot shooting team, you're going to find yourself in a good position come crunch time down the stretch.
So we're all leaving through the first 20 minutes. Grace Carter, 7 points, leads the way for Stonehill. 7 different players scored for the Greyhounds. Megan Reen and Tammy Falai, 3 points apiece for Assumption. Stonehill ball to start the second quarter. Jennifer Warden for the Skyhawks. Around the Diabate screen, will take it herself and can't finish. And a rebound to O'Donnell.
Let's give McKenna credit defensively that time. She cut off Jen Warden just enough to make the angle pretty acute.
Hawkins, now McKenna for O'Donnell once again, and back up top for Megan Reen.
O'Donnell had Hawkins posting up deep in the lane and didn't deliver the pass.
Again, the shot clock down inside 10. Straight away Hawkins, now O'Donnell, and deflected away. Good defense that time from Kelsey Shaw. Carter fades away. Had some room to drive. Skyhawks get the offensive rebound and come back outside again for Warden. Now Carter. Ran into a double team. Shot clock down to 6. Warden will try a 3-ball. And the ball hits the deck before grabbed by O'Donnell. Now Megan Reen for Assumption. Goes inside for O'Donnell. And had her shot blocked, but Gabrielle Reuter will pick up the foul. And it'll be free throws for Morgan O'Donnell, a 72% free throw shooter.
By the way, Morgan O'Donnell is in her hometown right now. She is from Easton and went to Ursuline Academy.
You're right.
Her game against Merrimack, in which she scored 39 points, setting a program record. Extraordinary because she played only 31 minutes in that game, and all but 2 of her points came in the second half and overtime. And she followed that up a week later with 32 at Bentley.
Bella Santoro into the game now for the Skyhawks. One more free throw for O'Donnell. Hounds by 2.
And if there was a most improved player in the league, it would certainly go to Morgan O'Donnell. The voting's already closed, I think.
Now an offensive foul called on Diabate.
Let's see if Assumption starts to really feature that high-low post with O'Donnell and Hawkins.
O'Donnell at 6'1", Hawkins at 6'2", and there's O'Donnell. That time couldn't get it to fall. The rebound clear by Taylor Warnham.
Outstanding weak side help by Warnham. Stonehill's very cognizant of that. They're not going to let O'Donnell get a clean touch.
Santoro traveled. And the turnover back to the Hounds.
No, that's what happens with freshmen and players that don't have a lot of experience. You're going to have to suffer through making some mistakes. And right now, for Bella Santoro, the game's just a little bit too fast. Once it slows down, she's going to be an effective player. That's usually the case for most perimeter players, by the way, in this league. It's really hard to adjust right away.
Graham for O'Donnell. To the corner, McKenna pulls up and scores. Abby McKenna, averaging 7 points per game, has 4 in this one.
It's a tough shot, that baseline mid-range shot.
Now Carter for Warnham. Santoro crosses over to the baseline. That line drive jumper won't fall for Taylor Warnham. Hits the deck, but taken away from her by Jordan Hawkins. Now Reen for McKenna. 3 minutes gone here in the second quarter. Greyhounds have the only points in quarter 2 and lead by 4. McKenna once again gives up her dribble, got it nicely to O'Donnell. Just found herself too far under the bucket and the ball out of bounds to Stonehill. Substitution for the Greyhounds. Brianna Cappuccioni comes back in, replacing Abby McKenna.
Yeah, there is a little more focus from the Greyhounds to get it inside to O'Donnell, and they're trying to set things in the half court to get her there. But Stonehill, with weak side help and rotation, they're bothering her enough to make it, to give her at least pause and force her to think about what's happening and not just be instinctive and make that move immediately.
Straight away, the line drive jumper won't fall for Jennifer Warden. Offensive rebound though, and second foul picked up by Morgan O'Donnell. And we'll see if Carrie Fair makes a move here to sit her, at least for the moment she will, as she's replaced by Tammy Falai.
I think in some cases, Carrie Fair is a lot like Trish Brown. If somebody picks up 2 fouls in the first half, they sit for a while. And I think as long as Assumption is playing relatively well, she'll probably sit the rest of the half.
But we've seen that mindset change, haven't we, the last few years with some coaches?
A little bit, yeah.
As Taylor Warnham hits the line drive jumper, where they're more akin to maybe bringing that player back where you just figured they were buried on the bench otherwise. Long three won't fall. Off the miss from Cappuccioni. Santoro the other way to the wing. The 3-ball thrown in by Emily Bramante. Freshman averaging 6 points per game, and the Skyhawks, little 5-0 run to take a 1-point lead.
And it's their first of the game.
Now straight away, Cappuccioni will try it. Won't get it, and the rebound to Taylor Warnham. Bramante for Kelsey Shaw, and she traveled. And for Stonehill, that's their 7th turnover of the night.
The way Stonehill is going to get better shots and easier shots in transition is if they continue to spread the floor and then attack immediately. Don't wait. Get yourself in the mindset, I'm going to catch and go, and force a defender to commit. That's going to open up something else for a teammate to come free. The more they wait and stop, the more they get bogged down into half court, and without Raymond, it's tougher for Stonehill to generate offense that way.
Straight away for Hawkins, and now Cappuccioni. Well, the Skyhawks are really playing a smothering, helping defense. Shot clock down to 7. Nothing there for Cram. Try to go back down inside. That could have been a double dribble. But it comes to Falai, and she can't get it. But the offensive rebound thrown back up and no good. Second try, score the basket for Jordan Hawkins and the foul.
That's frustrating. It's really frustrating for Stonehill. Again, they play really good defense. Assumption barely gets a shot away, and then on a third try, they get a 3-point opportunity.
Jordan Hawkins, the 6'2" senior out of Maryland, averaging 7 points, 4 rebounds per game. What a great effort. Second and third tries before she was able to cash in.
Now, I mentioned that O'Donnell has improved dramatically from last year. Hawkins has also improved from last season. You know, she's in better shape. She has a better idea of what works for her at both ends of the floor. That's not really the foul line.
That wasn't pretty, but she gets her own rebound.
I mean, that was so bad a foul shot that it ricocheted too far out.
You might want to remember that when there's 3 seconds left in a game and you're down 2 and you need a 3-ball and you need the ball back again.
Well, she's 5 of 14 at the foul line this season, so I'm not sure she'll be in there at that point in game.
Good point.
But be that as it may.
Falai, again, the shot clock down to 6. Cappuccioni's going to have to launch it. I don't think she's aware of the clock. She's not, and there's a shot clock violation.
That's the second one Stonehill has got today, and they've come close a few other times.
And Carrie Fair wants a timeout, and I think she just wants to talk to her team and maybe make them a little bit more aware there's another clock other than the game clock.
Well, I think for Assumption, they're getting lulled offensively into what Stonehill wants them to do, which is try to go on the perimeter and open up passing lanes that way. But what Assumption needs some of is they need some more penetration. That's going to force the defense to react. And now you can circulate the ball with better angles developing. If you just stay out on the perimeter and go side to side, it's much more difficult to do that. And then Stonehill, as you mentioned, tightening the vise as the shot clock gets into single figures.
I think they're just playing some great help defense.
They're just doing a nice job defensively, period. I mean, that's the building block, defense and rebounding for this team. And so when you aren't an explosive offensive team like they were last year, then this is going to keep you competitive until your offense can get on track. And the Stonehill group is going to be spurty when it comes to offense. But if you defend and get stops, those spurts are going to help you win games.
Now Carter outside for Bramante. And now Jennifer Warden back down inside for Diabate to try to get it inside, and pass was deflected, taken away by Brittany LeBlanc. Hounds by 1.
Interesting wrinkle for Assumption, doubling Diabate on the catch.
Inside, too strong that time underneath for Falai, and back come the Skyhawks. And Bramante once again. Ruder. Warden all the way through, but kicks it to the corner instead for Bramante. And the Skyhawks down to 10 seconds to shoot. Carter with 5. Ooh, that could have been a double dribble or just a carry. Any one of those would have worked, but down the other end, a high arcing jumper won't fall for Cram. Offensive rebound. Oh, what a job that time by Carter, as she tied up Hawkins, who's very slow to get up down the other end. Diabate back outside. Bramante will try it. Too strong. And there's Capiccioni the other way. And then losing the ball out of bounds is Megan Cram.
What did you say about that game tape earlier, Charlie?
I don't think anyone would admit to one at this point.
Well, I think both coaches would like to get splice cut-ups of their defensive sequences and not offense, because it has been defensively dominated here. Let's give Assumption some credit, too. They've played pretty well defensively themselves.
It's interesting. Both teams are shooting in the mid-40s, but there haven't been that many shots because the defense has been so good.
And there have been enough turnovers to suck it up. There's been very little transition, too, so we're getting long stretches with the shot clock running down.
Outside the arc now, Warden driving, too strong off the glass. Ball caroms into the hands of Falai. Stonehill just doesn't seem to have a go-to person on the floor right now, as the 3 won't fall for McKenna.
No, they definitely don't. She's on the bench in street clothes.
Right. Kayla Raymond, their freshman, averaging 18 points a game, sitting for the night with a shoulder injury. Inside Diabate, can't finish.
And they've had more than enough opportunities in the lane. I saw Warden miss one, just saw that one, couple from Diabate.
Capiccioni driving the baseline. Put it back outside, wide open 3 ball is off the mark that time for LeBlanc. Back come the Skyhawks.
We've seen first quarters more high scoring than this.
Diabate thought about it.
I think now we're getting some fatigue starting to set in for both teams.
Bramante tried to feed it through. There was nothing there. 5 seconds to shoot. Carter got to shoot it and won't get it. Tapped inside and kept alive for the moment, and then out of bounds to the Greyhounds. Kelsey Shaw will come back in for Stonehill, replacing Emily Bramante. Final 91 seconds of this first half.
And of course, if you're just looking at the two teams and their stats, you would think, oh, Raymond against O'Donnell today. Well, one is sitting on the bench with 2 fouls and 4 points, and the other is just flat out sitting on the bench recovering from injury. I mean, it's been an interesting game, if not thrilling.
And a reach-in foul will be called on the Skyhawks. And they'll call that on, well, they're going to go the other way. That's an offensive foul.
I actually have no idea what that was.
And neither does Carrie Fair.
I mean,
she walked away and then she heard 21 blue.
I couldn't see foul on anybody on the floor there.
Carter. Now inside, a little leaner is thrown in by Maddie Diabate. She's got 6 points.
Well, that's the first Stonehill score in more than 5 minutes. But in the meantime, they only gave up 2 points.
That ball airmailed out of bounds by McKenna. Stonehill by 1 with the ball and 47 seconds to go here before halftime.
Such a fast-moving game. We've had 1 timeout. We've had very few free throws. Haven't had a lot of fouls.
Diabate faces up. Goes back door. Too strong again for Warden. Rebound to Falai, and now for Brittany LeBlanc. About a 2-second differential between the game clock and shot clock.
If Stonehill wants to commit a foul and just slow this down, they do have 1 to give, which is a strategy I'm still not sure why college teams don't use more often.
You don't see it often, you're right.
Especially in the women's game when you're talking about 4 quarters. So you got 3 other endings to periods.
Unable to fall. Oh, what a great block. But the follow is up and good in the final second by Falai, and that will give the Greyhounds the lead going into the locker room. Great defense by Gabrielle Reuter, who's second in the NE10 in blocks, and she got one clean on Jordan Hawkins. But then Falai with the follow, and the Hounds go to the locker room up 1 at 24-23 at halftime.
Really haven't had a whole lot decided so far in this game. It's a question of both teams obviously playing excellent defense. We're not seeing any hot hands either way. Grace Carter with 7 points, Diabate with 6, leading all scorers. So that will tell you all you need to know there. So there's got to be a run in this game somewhere. If there's some easy points and a run, and somebody can stitch together maybe a 6 or 7 point run, they may have control of the game, and that would dictate it. But so far, we haven't seen it.
But if you like defense, saw plenty of that in that first half as the Greyhounds on the late bucket take a lead at the break by a score of 24-23. Halftime of our women's game. Chris Krause, who is the head coach of the men's team, will come over to chat with us in just a moment. Get a little insight from the coach as to the Skyhawks men's team, which is off to a good start in December after a win this past weekend at Franklin Pierce. Skyhawks with a record of 5-4 overall. They are 2-3 in the Northeast 10 Conference. So we'll talk to Chris Krause in just a second. He's chatting with John Noblin, and you know what? Anybody wants to take a minute to talk to John Noblin, I'm okay with that. He's one of the nicest people I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, and a big part of what this whole Stonehill program is all about. Great player in his own right here at Stonehill, and is very, very supportive of the athletic program here on campus. So we'll talk to Chris Krause as soon as he's done talking to John Noblin. We'll take a look at statistics coming up in the first half as well in just a little bit. So I figure if you're talking to John Noblin, I can just sit here because John Noblin is about as nice a guy as you can meet.
He was trying to keep me away from you. I was like, Charlie's a really nice guy. I don't know why, but.
I've had the pleasure of knowing John Noblin, as you have, for some time.
For a long time. He is one of the best. Yeah, I mean, it's really neat, obviously. Going to school here, playing here, being a part of this fantastic program, and now, obviously, luckily and fortunately in charge of it. I'm fortunate to have some great alumni that I get to connect with, talk with, reach out to, and John is obviously one of them. Dan Marr was there as well, but we've got a lot of just a fantastic alumni. I'm probably at the very bottom tier of all those really good, nice alums, but yeah, John's just a fantastic guy, and a great friend and a great mentor, just a great person to connect with and talk to.
So this men's program has won 3 out of the last 4. Nice start to December.
Yeah, it's been good.
Nice win at Franklin Pierce, 81-75. The only setback out of your last 4 was the loss here against
Anytime
Merrimack.
we come talk to you, something seems to happen.
Yeah, what is this?
Just, I think it's still a younger group where we've talked, but we're on the verge of trying to become an older group. But we still are a middle of the gap age group type team that trying to understand the importance of consistency night in and night out. And as you saw last week, the Merrimack game, just effort levels, just consistent effort levels and toughness levels. And we had that stretch early in the second half where we really came out with fire intensity, took the lead 54-52, and then we coasted again. And so I think that's just it with us. Just the ability to do it for 40 minutes, sustain it, but understand the importance of every single possession, every single night.
What is the complication with making in-game adjustments? You always hear about, and I guess I'll go back to football, where, well, they made their halftime adjustments and they're a different team. And I always say to myself, well, wait a minute, if the offense is on the sideline, can't you tell them what to do that's different?
Right.
You just brought up a good point. Your team is playing well, and all of a sudden they go a little bit flat. How do you get them back to that mindset that, hey, we were just playing good 5 minutes ago, what's wrong? How does that work?
There's different ways. I think you can talk to your team, you can challenge them, you can scream at them, you can do different types of things to poke and prod or just wake them up a little bit. Or a lot of times a veteran, older team, experienced teams look at themselves and just say, hey, all right, guys, let's go. And I use a great line, or one of my favorite lines that I've found over the years and stolen from Doug Collins, and Doc Rivers uses it. Good teams are those that coaches hold players accountable. Great teams are those that players hold each other accountable. And we're trying to get it more with our guys to, rather than from the coaching staff, where we have to maybe in those situations wake them up and challenge them or annoy them or do some different things to wake them up and just rise them to, hey, what's going on, to get those guys to do it upon each other. And I think it comes with experience. It comes with just older, mature players at the college level, and it comes with leadership. And it's something that we're still trying to teach and trying to just get our guys to do. And we've seen it recently. We saw it this past Saturday at Franklin Pierce, where we had a group that we were down early, and they're not a big amount, but we were down. And at Franklin Pierce, they took advantage early, and our guys just fought and dug down and battled and looked at each other. We saw moments where guys were like, hey, we're not losing this, let's go. And they did it, and that was great to see.
You've had seasons as a head coach where you've had a more experienced group. You've had seasons where you have a younger
Those are fun. When you win the region, you go to the Elite Eight with older, experienced teams. Those are fun.
Do you have to come into a season, though, with your coaching staff and yourself and say, this is going to be different, so we have to approach it differently?
You certainly do try to weather your expectations based on what's potentially in front of you or what you know. I think with experience, I've been, over the last number of years, been able to understand a little bit more of maybe what the behind-the-scenes process will be. I don't change or don't try to change how we hold these guys accountable or how we coach these guys or the standards that we have or the goals that we try to go after. I think, I think for me, I guess the competitor that I am, and we've got a lot of competitors in our locker room there. We've got a lot of guys that want to win and want to do well and show well. So we still talk about the goals, and depending on the year of, hey, you know what, maybe our goal isn't necessarily a team that is potentially capable of winning the region, but we talk about it. We put that as a challenge, and our guys talk about it. But behind the scenes mentally, I think as a coach, you got to understand what sort of you have, and the different levels of coachability or different levels of experience that you have, and you can tailor your own expectations, but I don't think it changes the upfront standards and expectations and accountability elements. But behind the scenes mentally, you definitely do as a coach. When
you have one of those nights, one of those days, weeks, when just things aren't going the way you think they should go, who's the person you talk to?
Are you in general or amongst the team? Or
in the world of basketball, the person that you would say, I got to talk to this person because this is really starting to get a little old with me?
Yeah, I mean, the first guys you go to is your staff. Carter and Matt, for me, that's the first step of going to the group and, hey, what are you guys seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Or am I just, hey, maybe not seeing something the same way, and they see it and they point it out. I mean, both these guys, obviously, their first years here with me and some young assistants, but doing a great job. So you go to them, and then you go to your circle of trust, the guys that that mentor me and I reach out to and got great relationships with, or maybe I'm, helping them or whatnot. But guys that I've coached with, worked with, Dave McLaughlin, obviously a guy that we're in really close contact with. You reach out to your support staff, and my father's one who, coached for a long, long time and mentored me and taught me, and I played for him. So he's another guy that he's got a really in-depth, close analysis of our program and team. And so, yeah, you reach out to, it starts with your staff. And then I think you can also go to some of your upperclassmen captains and leadership to say, hey, what's going on behind the scenes? What
are you able to do what Dave McLaughlin used to do on the sidelines and take his foot and put it up over his head?
Not even close. And you know what? It's funny. Obviously, we're playing another staff who saw a lot of that. Where I was actually joking with Ryan Harrion earlier on today, who was with me for 3 years, and Ryan was great. He's up at UNH now. And Ryan made a joke earlier today that Matt Miller is the only one without the Stonehill pedigree or Stonehill lineage on either staff tonight. You know, where Carter Smith played here, I played here. Matt's brand new to the school. You know, his first year. Mike Harding coached me my senior year. Mike Hauser was an assistant for me a couple years ago. Jack Cole played for me here. So there's 6 coaches, and only one doesn't have a Stonehill background.
I saw the picture of Jack Cole, and I just wasn't sure. How many times did he change his hairstyle and his facial look over
In the middle
years?
of the game, you should have a conversation. Just throw him off track, throw him off base. Jack, you need a new hair. Yeah.
Because when I saw the picture, I said, yeah, that's him, but I don't ever remember him looking like that.
No, it's the picture that you're talking about there. He had 10 and 10. His freshman year in the Final Four against Western Washington, we were out in Northern Kentucky. It was unbelievable. He was just phenomenal as a kid, and he's one of my best friends, one of my great friends, you know, amongst the alums and guys that I've coached that are just great people. You know,
pretty neat circle, isn't it?
It really is. It's such a great group, and such a great group to be part of. And even, you know, obviously, as I said earlier, I'm now in charge of this, but I'm still a part of this behind, you know, in a different spectrum that I just love and very proud of.
Let's talk a little bit about tonight's opponents.
Yeah, I mean, Assumption's very good. Very big, tough, physical, scrappy team that is just going to grind games out and make you really run your offense well. They're going to challenge you from their offensive standpoint with some of the stuff that they do. They really hold you accountable if you don't communicate actions, if you don't communicate some guard-to-guard actions or guard-to-forward, forward-to-guard screen actions or ball screens and post defense. They really hold you accountable. And obviously that's something that we just talked about for our group. We've got to be accountable and we've got to do the details in order to give ourselves an opportunity to win.
Does it matter? Is it a benefit to either you or Mike Harding that you know each other's coaching style?
I'm sure it's an advantage, you know, to either one where we've coached against each other for a long time now. But I think regardless, the players on the floor and the ones down the bench, those guys in uniform still make plays when you need them to make plays, and that's ultimately what wins the game. So, you know, he knows me really well. I feel like I know him pretty well, but regardless, it's going to be those guys in uniform tonight that are going to make those decisions and make those plays, and whoever does more will win the game.
You were all over the planet in November, and now you're playing 7 out of your next 8 at home. That's nice.
It is good. Ashley's really happy, you know, so we joked last week. Yeah, I know she's watching now, and she said it's good to have you guys.
She's home nodding.
Yes, she is. And you know what? Let's get the game over soon so we can come back and help with the dishes. So, no, it's good to be back home, and yeah, it was a long stretch on the road, a lot of road trips, but we learned a lot about our team and went through some ups and downs, some adversity, and here we are. We're back home. We need to get our first one at home. We need to take advantage and get our first one here at home tonight.
All right, as always.
Appreciate it,
Coach.
Good to see you.
Chris Krause, head coach of the men's team. We'll take a break. We'll come back with our halftime in a moment.
Label me.
You know you want to.
Don't be shy.
You do it behind my back.
So say it to my face.
You don't know me. You know what I am?
I'm a pitcher.
I'm a striker.
I'm a point guard.
I'm a linebacker.
I'm a setter.
Shortstop.
High jumper.
Wrestler.
Defender.
Goalie.
Student.
Student athletes.
That's who we are.
Stonehill College is nationally recognized for its academics, commitment to affordability, and career preparation. Whether bound for the lab, stage, or stock market, our students develop the knowledge, skills, and character to achieve the highest goals. We're proud to offer dual degree engineering and business programs that allow students to attend Stonehill and our sister school, the University of Notre Dame. Near Boston and Providence, Stonehill inspires students to reach higher. Find out more at stonehill.edu.
Welcome back to Stonehill College, to the Merker Gymnasium. Paula Sullivan Court, 24-23 halftime score with Assumption leading Stonehill. You know, you get kind of caught up in what's going on, Steve, and I didn't realize it was an 8-7 second quarter. That wasn't very pretty.
No. Well, let's just say that, you know, if this was a baseball game, it'd be a 1-1 pitcher's duel.
The leading scorers for the Skyhawks, Grace Carter with 7. And I guess if you're Kerry Fair and your leading scorer is Tammy Falai with 5 points and you're up 1, you got to be pretty happy with where you sit.
Yeah, it's not too bad. There are certainly positives and negatives that both coaches can look at halftime.
For the Skyhawks, aside from Carter with 7, Madi Diabate had 6, 3 apiece for Taylor Warnham and Emily Bramante, 2 for Madison Seymour, and a total of just 23 for the Hounds. As we mentioned, 5 for Tammy Falai, 4 apiece for Jordan Hawkins and Abby McKenna, 3 for Megan Reen, 2 apiece for Brianna Capaccioni, Megan Cram, Brittany LeBlanc, and Morgan O'Donnell. O'Donnell, the more notable of that group, averaging 20 points per game and no field goals in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, she didn't take that many shots either, so I would expect to see a little bit more of her. I mean, in fact, for Assumption, if you're looking for where they need to improve, I think they need to work the inside game more frequently, because Hawkins and O'Donnell and Falai, they've been establishing position and making themselves available, and they've cleaned up on the offensive glass a little bit too. So that for me is where Assumption can really hurt Stonehill in the second half.
So we are just about set to go with the second 20 minutes in a very obviously low-scoring game. What does Kerry Fair have to do here, Steve, to get Morgan O'Donnell more involved?
I think they just have to continue to work that high-low post, and then the delivery has to be there, because there were 2 or 3 occasions in the first half where she had posted up and the pass wasn't delivered. And they really have to be cognizant of that and not allow Stonehill to rotate as quickly as they have been. So once you go side to side and then go top and you have that high-low post option, that's where they can hit it quickly and get a good shot. For Stonehill, I think they have to find a way to get easy points. And for me, one way that they can do that is they need to push the ball in transition and be aggressive, either taking the shot or particularly going to the basket and opening up opportunities that way.
Well, here's O'Donnell, and she had her shot blocked and knocked out of bounds by Madi Diabate. So they go to O'Donnell, bring her right to the rack, and unable to finish.
4th block shot of the game for the Skyhawks.
Team that's averaging 6 a game, second best in the NE10.
Assumption actually out-rebounded Stonehill in the first half, 2015, including 7 offensive rebounds.
Saw a lot of those right at the tail end of the shot clock.
And both teams with 9 turnovers in the first half as well.
Diabate faces up, gives it up high, arcing jumper way off the mark that time, but saved on the baseline by Warden. Nice job by Warden. Back down inside, little jump hook is thrown up and in by Gabrielle Rutter, her 4th point of the night. And Stonehill with a 1-point lead.
Well, Stonehill enjoyed 2 1-point leads in the first half.
Now Cram driving hard, can't finish. Good defense by Kelsey Shaw. Back comes Grace Carter. And as good as it was for the moment for the Skyhawks, a turnover right back the other way. Now Capaccioni for Reen. Reen will try it from outside the arc and drops it home. Megan Reen with her second 3 of the night.
She's made 2 threes from the exact same spot, so get up over the screen and chase her down and force her to penetrate. That is not her strong suit.
Down the other end, the 3 won't fall for Jennifer Warden. And we'll have a whistle and a foul. And they'll get the Skyhawks. They'll call Kelsey Shaw for her first foul.
Now Warden's struggling to find a way to score, 0 for 4 from the field. And that's her 3rd 3-point try, which is really not where she does her best work. The next step in her evolution is to find her offense consistently. What can she do to score?
We got a whistle, and I think they'll get Diabate struggling with Morgan O'Donnell. And Madi Diabate picks up her 2nd foul. No one in any really appreciable foul trouble. O'Donnell with 2, Diabate with 2. So Madi Diabate sits and is replaced by Taylor Warnham.
Now, there are only 9 fouls called in the first half, and if all of a sudden the officials are going to start to call it closer, it's going to change how the game is played.
Capaccioni back down for O'Donnell, and she throws in the baseline jumper. First field goal for the 6'1 senior, averaging 20 points per game. She's got 4 tonight. And the Hounds lead by 4. Now to the baseline. Good dish to the corner, and the jumper by Gabrielle Reuter gives her 6 points. And that's where Jennifer Warden is in the game. She's a terrific facilitator, and she's got a steal as well. Up the floor, Carter to the corner, and then back outside. Carter's wide open, and she rattles it home. And Grace Carter, first player on either side to get to double figures with 10 points, but down the other end, the answer from Megan Cram. She's got 5 points, and the Greyhounds go back up 1. Ball starting to fall through the hoop a little quicker. And the Skyhawks lose the ball on the end line. Stonehill's already scored as many points in this third quarter as they did in the entire second quarter.
Don't forget the first quarter was 16-16, so that was at least reasonable.
Yeah, they're kind of on pace to be around where they would score per game, and then both teams just lost the edge in that second quarter, but they seem to have found it here in the third.
Now, who's going to put together the run to actually grab a multi-possession lead? We've seen very, very little of that today.
Loose ball on the floor, and again stolen away by Warden. Outnumbered 1-on-3. Should go back up top, and then a bad pass by Warnham. Just air-mailed that one, and here's Cappuccioni.
Another transition opportunity that Stonehill squanders. I mean, Warden was just sort of shepherded toward the sideline. She's got to find a way to cross over, dribble, get into the middle, and create options for herself. She just took the path of least resistance, and certainly didn't work out at all.
O'Donnell works the baseline, had it deflected, but got it inside, and there's 2 for Jordan Hawkins.
That's what's going to work here for Assumption, is work the bigs, get it inside, and do that. And I think Trish Brown has got to address that now. It's been a little bit too easy for Assumption in the second half.
Bella Santoro and Emily Bramante will come back in for Stonehill as the Greyhounds take a 3-point lead.
Now we got 2 of the longer tenured coaches in the NE10. Kerry Fair in her 23rd year at Assumption. She was actually the college coach for Stonehill assistant Kara Kelly back in her playing days.
Right.
However many years ago that was, I won't mention it.
We don't want to go there.
It's a few years ago, not that long ago. Kerry Fair herself was a great college player. Providence finalist for the Wade Trophy as a senior back in the, well, a little further ago.
You know what I'll always remember Kerry Fair for, which I have a lot of respect for anyway, but the fact that the day that they dedicated the court to Paula Sullivan here, they weren't playing here, but she came here and was part of that dedication. I thought that was pretty classy.
That really says all you need to say.
Yep. Now Santoro straight away for Reuter. Bramante 3-ball. And the rebound on the end line knocked out of bounds by Hawkins. It will be Stonehill ball.
That's a pretty clean look out of the timeout. You'll take that shot from Emily Bramante. I'm curious to see Stonehill's wrinkles at the other end defensively, especially on the inside.
Warner for Santoro. Bramante, not a good pass. Again, they forced that pass inside, stolen away by O'Donnell.
You make that pass when the big has her head turned. And that time O'Donnell sighted the whole play right from the start.
Cappuccioni's off the mark, but the offensive rebound. Cramp can't finish. And a late whistle, but it'll be free throws for Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah, Hawkins has been a real factor on the offensive glass. Stonehill's post players and even some of the wing players when they're in under the basket, once the shot goes up, they really have to find Hawkins and O'Donnell and get a body on them.
Jordan Hawkins will get 2 free throws. Greyhounds by 3, just about halfway through this third quarter.
Of course, when Hawkins does get the ball inside, fouling her might be a reasonable option. Touched on the fact that she's now 5 of 15 at the foul line this year. It's a delicate spot here for Stonehill, Charlie. They have to be, they can't let Assumption stretch a lead out here because the clock is going to start to move a lot more quickly. And with the Skyhawks struggling for points, if this gets too far away, I think they might have a problem.
2 misses and the rebound of Santoro. Stonehill down 3. Shaw straight away for Morgan O'Brien. Now Santoro for Diabate.
She's got to turn and face the basket. She's no threat if she's looking the other way like that.
Ramonte 3-ball. Again, had a good look, and the rebound to Hawkins. Just doesn't seem like anyone on the Skyhawks is really looking to be aggressive on the offensive end. LeBlanc, not a good pass, deflected out of bounds, and they'll give the ball to the Assumption. Lai will come back in, replacing Jordan Hawkins, who played very well for the Greyhounds.
Now, I'll underscore your fact about Stonehill not being aggressive offensively. They haven't forced Assumption to commit a single foul in this third quarter. Add to the fact that they took just 3 first-half free throws, and you see that they really haven't been doing that.
Falai can't get it. Good defense that time from Morgan O'Brien. Assumption by 3.
What was that you said about scoring points and the pace being a
Yeah,
little better?
we did bring that up.
It's a screeching halt right now.
It has been.
I mean, I know there's still 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter, but it's almost as if the next basket is really important.
Is this going to be a first to 50 wins?
Well, somebody might not get to 50.
Ramonte got away with a travel.
Yeah.
And Shaw's shot deflected and taken away by O'Brien.
I mean, Shaw just took too long to get the shot off, but truth is that Ramonte did get away with steps.
And down the other end, the ball deflected, but it comes to McKenna. Cram, straight away for O'Donnell. Now McKenna for Falai, 10 seconds to shoot. O'Donnell needs help. And again, another shot clock violation. And for the second time, the Greyhounds just did not seem aware that that shot clock was running down. No sense of urgency. So Catherine Golden comes in, Megan Cram comes out. We've been stuck on 33-30 for a while.
And yeah, that's why I say I think that the next basket is really important, especially for Stonehill. They give up a bucket and get down 5 or 6. Now you start to look at the clock and start to wonder how you're going to get that back.
Warden for Diabate, and we'll get an Assumption foul. Looks like it'll be Brittany LeBlanc picking up the foul, her first. Skyhawks in the last 16 and a half minutes have scored 14 points. Fresh shot clock for Stonehill. They go right inside to Santoro, tried to squeeze it up, no, gave it up instead, and we'll get free throws for Morgan O'Brien.
Created something out of nothing there.
Morgan O'Donnell just picked up her 3rd foul. And she will sit. Jordan Hawkins will come back in after the first free throw by O'Brien.
I mean, I guess Morgan O'Brien's a good player for Stonehill to have at the line. She's 5 of 6 this year. Of course, I had to say it, didn't
She's
I?
5 of 7.
5 of 7. Well, I know on the previous sequence before the ball went out of bounds, I know Diabate made what is the right pass inside to O'Brien. It was a better pass, but you know, if I'm Trish Brown, I want Madi Diabate facing the basket and making a move to try and score.
And Skyhawks' inability to cash in at the free throw line is becoming more and more glaring.
I mean, the truth is, if Diabate doesn't get active attacking the basket, or Grace Carter doesn't get a look from 3, they've got 16 of their 30 points. You know, they've got to find some way to get those players going, or find another option.
Inside out, straightaway 3-ball won't go for LeBlanc, but an offensive rebound, and the Hounds maintain possession as we come down to 3 minutes to go here in this third quarter. Pull up 15-footer, good for Abby McKenna, who's got 6 points.
This match is the largest lead of the game.
Outside the arc at Santoro. Kelsey Shaw to the baseline. Now a 3 from the wing is short. Santoro with a good offensive rebound, kept it alive for the moment off the miss by Warden. And now the Greyhounds control. And will try to expand on their 5-point lead. McKenna. Back down inside Falai. Good move for 2. Jamie Falai with 7 points. Trish Brown wants a timeout.
So you see how the feel of this game is now. When it was 33-30 for a while, you knew that I just said that I felt that next basket was important. Well, Assumption's put back-to-back hoops together. A 7-point lead, basically with 12 minutes left, facing a team that scored 30 points so far in 28 minutes. Something has to change if Stonehill wants to win this game. It's just been a huge struggle, and whether they simply focus on one or two players, and if you're going to focus on players to try to get shots, you're looking at Carter and Diabate. But they've got to know that these plays are being run for them, and it's their responsibility now to score. It's not their responsibility to always make the right play. At some point, somebody's got to be selfish and start attacking the basket and start thinking score first.
That might be part of it. They're just, I insist. Being out-rebounded 28-21. And again, Stonehill, you're 1 for 5 from the free throw line. A, you're not getting to the stripe very much, and B, when you are, nothing's happening. 1 for 5. The Hounds not a whole lot better, but 5 for 10. So neither team shooting the ball from the stripe very well.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the starting 5 for Stonehill. They've taken 1 free throw combined.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter where you are, who you're playing. It's tough to do that.
Skyhawks 5th best in the NE10 shooting from the field at 42% this season. Right now at 38%. And it just seems like it's worse than that.
It's not all Stonehill's ineptitude. Assumption has played well defensively.
And a traveling violation. Carrie Fair almost jumped out of her shoes before she heard the whistle. Gabrielle Reuter called for the travel.
Now that's Assumption with good post defense, because once the pass got to Reuter, 2 defenders were there and they forced a deeper pass. So now Reuter's got to adjust her feet as opposed to going up right on the catch.
Now LeBlanc for Falai. Straight away Golden. Now McKenna. LeBlanc. Shot clock down to 10. Falai will move her way through, unabated for 2.
No, here's the run I was talking about, and it's Assumption that has put it up.
Carter tried to answer with a 3 ball, won't get it, fought for, and Carter comes back out to get it. 7 points in the second quarter for Stonehill, 7 here in the third, and it stays that way off the miss, but a nice job on the baseline, the end line, by the Skyhawks' Taylor Warner to keep it alive and keep the ball. Inbound comes outside now for Jennifer Warden, and now Shaw. Warden back outside. She's got a lane and had it deflected. Follow is up and no good, but Taylor Warner will get free throws. We'll call the foul on Abby McKenna, who picks up her first.
You'd like to see Warden on the drive. Yes, the lane opened up, but once that lane opens, she sort of circled to get into to the basket, as opposed to going straight line and forcing the defender to come right at her. When you go away from the contact when trying to finish, you're not going to get the call as often, and you're going to miss more shots. In a way, it's counterintuitive, but it really works out that you get a benefit if you do that.
Taylor Warner makes both free throws. She has 5 points. Assumption lead is 7. Final minute of this third quarter. LeBlanc.
Let's see if Stonehill can get a stop and a score here. Feel a little bit better going into the fourth quarter if they can do that.
Go down inside, Falai, inside out for Golden. Triple teamed and lets the shot fly anyway, and the miss and the rebound of Shaw.
And Golden had a screen and roll pass there for Hawkins that would have been an easy 2.
Yep. She was triple teamed as she took that shot. There were some open bodies underneath. Stonehill ball trailing by 7. Warden. Driving. Back outside. Shot clock down to 12. 3 ball Carter, won't get it. And the rebound of Hawkins. So now Assumption can hold for the final shot. Try to expand a 7-point lead. McKenna. Double teamed, airs it somehow to the far wing, and a long three won't go for Golden, and that'll end the quarter. So the Stonehill Skyhawks, for the second consecutive quarter, held to single digits as they scored just 9 points. Greyhounds get 15 of their own, 39-32 Assumption after 3 quarters.
Well, Assumption has earned it because their offense has been a little less poor. They've had more opportunities. They've created more opportunities at the rim. So when you look at Hawkins and Falai inside, they've combined for 15. McKenna makes a shot here and there. Cram makes a shot here and there, and it's not a geyser of scoring, but in this game, it's been enough.
And if you're Trish Brown and you're looking at the NE10's third leading scorer, Morgan O'Donnell, who has 1 field goal, 4 points, you think you're in a good place, but you're down 7.
Well, I mean, Stonehill has done a pretty good job defensively. You can't really complain about this. If you give up 13 points a game, you're giving up 52, and that's basically their average. So the defense has not been the issue for Stonehill. The issue has clearly been at the other ends. And they've got to find some way to solve that and unlock one player, if not 2 players, if they're going to hope to make a comeback in this game.
Skyhawks shooting just 34% from the floor. The Greyhounds 40%. And again, the rebounding, it's tightened up a little bit. The Hounds still a 4-point advantage. Points off turnovers, 15 for Assumption to 10.
What's amazing is that Stonehill actually had a 28-0 run in their win at Franklin Pierce the other day. They were up 6-5, then they scored 28 in a row. Here we are, having played 30 minutes, and they have 32 points. Just another day in the NE10.
That's why they play the game, as they say. So let's see if the Skyhawks can climb back in, down 7 with a sputtering offense as we start the 4th quarter. Little turn and score is Gabrielle Reuter with 8 points now in the game.
And she's 4 of 7 from the floor. Maybe that's somebody to try to get some more touches too.
Megan Reen for the Greyhounds. Straight away, Capiccioni pulls back, tries it, short, long carom. Nice job that time by O'Donnell. What a terrific hustle play by the senior to keep that play alive.
11th offensive rebound for the Greyhounds.
Now Reen for Assumption. Back down inside, and O'Donnell defended well by Reuter. Back the other way comes Jennifer Warden, all the way through for 2.
Well, there you go, straight line to the basket. Warden finally gets one to drop.
First points of the game for the sophomore, who comes in averaging 8 points per game, and then throwing the ball away was Morgan O'Donnell. Gary Fair will bring Jordan Hawkins back into the game. I think O'Donnell might sit.
Well, we haven't seen Stonehill pin together more than 2 buckets in a row in this game. Very frequently. I mean, they have a chance here now. And despite the offensive struggles, the defense has been enough to keep them in the game where if you get a little surge, now it's a game. And they're one more score here away from making this pretty interesting.
Carter for Kelsey Shaw. Now Carter again, Reen watching her. Now Warnham will try it. Too strong. And the rebound on the end line. Knocked out of bounds by Taylor Warnham. It will be Assumption ball. Good hustle by Taylor Warnham, who is always that and more when that ball goes up off the glass. Greyhounds by 3, finally 25. Men's game coming up, should be about a 7:30 tap. Outside the arc now, Megan Cram. Falai back down inside. That one too strong for Jordan Hawkins. Grace Carter the other way. Warnham. Now Warden to the baseline, and not a good pass. Deflected, nicely played by Capiccioni. And here's Reen back the other way for the Hounds. From the wing, a long 3, won't fall for Cram, and the rebound grabbed by Jennifer Warden. Back and forth we go. Assumption has not scored here in this first 2.5 minutes.
And add to that about 90 seconds of the 3rd quarter. So they've been shut out for almost 4 minutes now.
Straight away, Throw the ball in for Taylor Warnham, who's got 7 points. Stonehill, a little 6-0 run to get back to within 1.
Kerry Fair might call a timeout, decided against it.
Oh, nice move by Cram, and can't get the jumper to fall. Tapped around, comes to Capiccioni. She goes back up, won't get it. Taylor Warnham in traffic, was fouled. And they call that on Jordan Hawkins, who picks up her 2nd foul. So where the Skyhawks have picked up their offense, the Greyhounds have gone silent. Kerry Fair will send Brittany LeBlanc back into the game, replacing Megan Reen. Back in for Stonehill is Maddie Diabate. Ella Santoro into the game as well for Stonehill.
Well, technically, Stonehill scored the last 8 points in this game. They scored the last 2 of the 3rd quarter.
Santoro for the lead, won't get it. And got her own rebound. And then the ball goes out of bounds as she hits the deck. Trish Brown applauding the effort by her team as they go back up the other end.
Skyhawks have only held 3 leads in this game, all 1-point leads, and only one of them come in the second half.
Whitney LeBlanc picked up by Santoro. To the wing, a 3-ball thrown in. High arcing 3 for Brianna Capiccioni, who has 5 points. And Assumptions lead back to 4. Carter for Bramante, and now Carter in the corner. Reuter, Carter threw it away. Boy, she had the angle. She had an opportunity for what could have been a decent chance and gave it up. Go back to that
Somebody's got to,
thing.
right, exactly. Well, I mean, being unselfish sometimes is selfish.
The ball loose on the end line, out of bounds. Santoro carried it out. It will be Assumption ball.
And if Santoro actually just let that ball go and stayed positionally in front of O'Donnell, it just goes out of bounds harmlessly.
15 seconds to shoot for Assumption, leading by 4. Final 6 minutes. Deflected, but it comes to O'Donnell. Muscles it up and scores. Just her 2nd field goal of the day.
Yeah,
Assumptions lead back to 6.
That's basically a straight bucket off an inbound, and you just can't fall asleep like that.
Now Santoro. Diabate throws it up and no good. Fought for, and Santoro hustling to knock it away from Falai, but instead comes to Brittany LeBlanc. Ooh, that could have been a back. That was close on that mid-court stripe. Line drive jumper, McKenna won't go, and the rebound finally corralled and then fouled was Gabrielle Reuter.
I mean, when are you going to blow the whistle? You had a reach in, you had a bump, and then you had an undercut, and finally it's time for a whistle. Stonehill hasn't been called for a foul in this quarter. That's the 3rd against the Greyhounds. Or check it, it's the 2nd, so.
Now Santoro in the corner for Bramante. Diabate gives it up. Reuter will try it and make it. Gabrielle Reuter double figures with 10 points.
We're at a point now where you can't squander possessions. With 5 minutes to go, points have been so hard to come by. If you get a decent look, you're going to have to make a shot.
And we'll get a Stonehill foul. On the floor, they'll call that on Santoro. The freshman picks up her 1st foul. Substitutions, Kelsey Shaw, Jen Warden back in, replacing Bramante and Grace Carter. Both teams very young, just 2 seniors on the Stonehill squad, 3 on Assumptions. Now a lane, and unable to finish on the baseline was LeBlanc. Skyhawks got a break there. Warden the other way, takes it all the way through, and she's got 2. Said it earlier, Steve, though, but she's still angling away instead of being aggressive, and that thing able to bounce around and drop home. Back to a 2-point game. LeBlanc, straight away O'Donnell, won't get it, fought for around the baseline, out of bounds to Stonehill, off the hands of Jordan Hawkins.
All this may go down to the last possession somehow, some way.
Jennifer Warden to the corner. Santoro thought about it, and we'll get a whistle and an assumption foul.
That's a nice definitive drive by Santoro. He saw the angle, turned the corner, and forced the defense to react and do something. I mean, I will say this for Santoro. She's not afraid to try and make a play. And I think that's something that the Skyhawks, this unit, needs.
Kelsey Shaw back outside for Warden. Inside 4 minutes left, Stonehill trailing by 2. Warden to the baseline. Fed it across, and Santoro couldn't collect it. Another turnover for Stonehill, their 17th of the game. Both coaches have plenty of timeouts. Assumption has 4, the Skyhawks have 3. I suspect we'll see a few of those in the next 3:39. Now McKenna goes down inside for O'Donnell. Great position and scores. And Trish Brown will call a timeout right here with her team trailing by 4.
Well, O'Donnell hasn't scored a lot, but you know that she's the offensive focal point.
Senior now with 8 points, 6 of the 8 coming in this second half.
When Stonehill defends her, they've been sending a second player at her, and they're probably going to have to do that again. You run the risk of giving up an open 3 in that situation. And if that's the cost, so be it. Assumption's not shooting well from three-point land today. They've only made 3 of them. They're a 30% three-point shooting team. So, I think percentage-wise, you're just going to have to get the ball out of her hands, or find a way to deny the entry pass at being so easy. And be aggressive offensively. You've got to attack the basket.
Skyhawks basketball, final 3:20. Diabate, and gonna get an assumption foul.
There's a lot of contact in this game, and that hasn't been called today.
4th foul on the team, 3rd on Hawkins.
Stonehill just 3 of 7 at the foul line today.
Now inside, Diabate got stripped and taken away by Hawkins.
It was nice little action too, coming off the down screen. It's too bad she couldn't finish it.
McKenna.
Stop here is necessary. I'm not sure Stonehill can afford to fall behind by more than this.
Now O'Donnell back outside LeBlanc. 10 seconds to shoot. LeBlanc had the ball knocked out of her hands by Gabrielle Ruder. Greyhounds ball, 7 seconds to shoot.
I'd almost consider if Hawkins ever touches the ball in the lane, you just foul her immediately.
Cram. Got it into O'Donnell. 3 seconds to shoot. The ball inside, and at the buzzer, score the basket, Jordan Hawkins. Great hands by Hawkins. She's got 8 points. And again, the Skyhawks played defense for 29 seconds and got beat at the buzzer. 3 ball on the way is short that time for Warden. Rebound to LeBlanc. O'Donnell on the end line, lost it out of bounds. That'll be Stonehill ball, so the Skyhawks get a break.
I still can't understand why he just wouldn't foul Jordan Hawkins. It doesn't make sense to me.
Just 1 foul committed by the Skyhawks in this.
Certainly when she's getting up in the shooting motion in that situation.
And Trish Brown will take another timeout. The Skyhawks will have just 1 timeout left. This time a full timeout called by Stonehill. Trailing by 6 at 48-42. Stonehill comes in 4-1 in the conference, 7-1 overall. Skyhawks just 3 for 14 outside the arc. And they've missed 4 free throws. Points in the paint dominated by Assumption, 30-16.
Yeah, well, they deserve to be ahead. They've played better, and this is as must score a possession as Stonehill has had. If they get a score, they can play their normal defense and maybe get a stop. And then, you know, but they can't give away possessions at this point. So, you know, you're looking at the offensive players who can score. To me, it's Reuter, Carter. Diabate should be scoring more. She hasn't scored in the second half, and she's had opportunities. I still think she just looks away from the basket too much. And this, to me, is you know, part of why she hasn't taken that next step, is that she is too deferential sometimes.
I think there's been a lot of deferential tonight.
There's been way too much deferential. Well, let's see what they come up with out of the timeout.
Final 2:07. There's Diabate for Carter. Kicks it to the corner, and the 3-ball thrown in, no basket, offensive foul. Trish Brown is not happy.
That's the right call.
They call that on Grace Carter on the kick.
Absolutely the right call. And of course, it figures that it's the only shot that Warden has made from outside of 2 feet today.
So Megan Reen comes back in. Again, the Skyhawks have only committed 2 fouls, so they can't play the free throw game at least yet. Only down 2 possessions at 48-42.
Because they've only made 3 threes today.
That one would have made it a 1-possession game, but waved off. Now Capaccioni pulls up, drops it down inside, and it falls for Jordan Hawkins. Double figures for the senior with 10 points.
Well, she's definitely being effective when she's had the opportunity to take the shot.
And a whistle, and we'll get an assumption foul. That will be the 5th on the team. They call that on Megan Cram, who picks up just her first foul.
Well, I would give Assumption credit here. Stonehill rallied with that 8-0 run to get within 1, but since then they've outscored the Skyhawks 11-4.
And if you want someone at the free throw line, it would be Maddie Diabate, who is 12 for 12 this season. Get it back to 6 with a free throw here.
Yeah, but Stonehill's going to have to press. They're going to have to commit some fouls. They're going to have to try to push the envelope here, because they just can't try to get a stop and make up 7 points in a minute plus.
4 for 9 from the free throw line tonight. Capaccioni fires, won't get it. Another chance for the Skyhawks with Warden. Outside for the 3-ball. Carter off the mark. Offensive rebound and a held ball. Arrow favors the Greyhounds. And now Assumption will call a timeout.
And this will allow Kerry Fair to bring the ball to half court. So pressure is, the angles are different pressure-wise. No, I mean, what we feared at the top, Charlie, is coming to pass here. Stonehill just can't generate enough offense to win this game without Kayla Raymonds. I mean, they've managed to do it twice this year against teams that they probably should beat, and they did. But this is different entirely. I mean, if you have Raymond on the floor, it's a different game. I mean, she is the player who can drive the offense, and everybody works around that. Having support and secondary players is one thing. Having the main option is quite another, and right now they're really struggling to figure out what to do without that.
Trailed by 7, 59 seconds left. Stonehill has 1 timeout remaining. The Greyhounds have 3.
So there's really no option here for Stonehill. It's got to be trapped, try to get a turnover, and start to commit fouls.
Oh, they sneak away, and a great block from behind by Jen Warden. Terrific defensive play. It would look like an easy 2 for the Hounds. Instead, out of bounds.
Capaccioni was surprised she was so wide open.
She was.
And just that brief hesitation allowed Warden the opportunity to dive down and get the block.
The ball comes to Cram, and the reach and foul called on Kelsey Shaw. But just the 3rd foul on the team, and it also gives the Greyhounds a fresh 30-second clock.
If you know you're going to foul, don't wait. Just give the foul immediately on the catch. The time is much more important. And somehow funnel the ball to Jordan Hawkins.
And another foul, this time the reach-in called on Warden. So a couple of quick fouls there.
Right,
So the next one will
and now Hawkins will come off the floor. either Carrie Fair heard me or she's a good coach.
I would go with the latter.
So would I, actually. Well, now Stonehill really can't be picky. They just got to send Assumption to the line.
And Carter called for the foul. Megan Green is an 88% free throw shooter. Another reason why Carrie Fair is a good, terrific coach.
Well, Megan Reen, a relatively local product. She's from Norwood.
Yep. 5'5" sophomore.
Well, Assumption trying to make it 4 wins in a row and pick up an always valuable road win in conference play.
7 now for Reen.
And you got to think that Stonehill's thinking long ball here at the 3.
1 out of 2 free throws. Carter. Straight away, Diabate won't get it. And the rebound grabbed by Jordan Hawkins, and she's fouled with 31 seconds left.
Well, you got to say it wasn't for lack of effort from Stonehill. I mean, they've been trying and trying. It's just that, you know, some shots that you would normally think would drop, they haven't gotten them to drop. Assumption's played well defensively, and they've responded to those Stonehill bursts. In particular, that I mentioned that 8-0 run that bridged the 3rd and 4th quarters that got Stonehill to within 1, and Stonehill actually had the ball and a chance to take the lead. But after that, Assumption was able to stand up to it and get enough separation down the stretch.
11 points for Jordan Hawkins. She's been terrific, very assertive inside. 12 rebounds to go along with her 11 points. And Trish Brown calls a timeout. Just a tick inside. 30 seconds left, trailing by 9. Stonehill's about to fall to 1-2 on their home floor this season.
Right, and they'll be facing Southern New Hampshire on Saturday, another tough opponent. So the challenges keep on coming in Northeast 10 play. We'll see if Kayla Raymond is available for that game as well. I mean, Southern New Hampshire, they're trailing Bentley by 1 with two minutes to go in that game. They trailed by 19 at halftime, so the matchup there somehow works for Southern New Hampshire. They beat Bentley twice last year.
Always fascinating when you see that.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
It is a weird one. In fact, I just got a text from somebody who was watching that game, and Bentley was, again, up 19 at the half, and like, this is the weirdest game ever. But that particular matchup, I don't know what it is, but it works for Southern New Hampshire. We'll see how that one plays out. I mean, they're going to be a tough opponent regardless when they come in here on Saturday. Now, suffice to say, Stonehill needs points immediately and give a quick foul. Preferably a nice 9-point play to tie the game, but those aren't.
Not a lot of
those are usually not in the
plays
playbook.
available. No.
I mean, I think that's on page 10 of Trish Brown's 9-page playbook. I think we're talking about the. I don't know if it's a shot clock. Shot clock's at 28. I mean, the shot clock's irrelevant at this point anyway.
Inbound to Carter. She'll try a 3-ball, and it's way off. And Cappuccioni fouled. It'll be a nice win for the Greyhounds, as you said. Their streak continues. And they did it without the expected offensive contribution from Morgan O'Donnell. 20 points per game coming in, 3rd best in the NE10, held to 8 points tonight.
That's true, but I think when you look at, in a game like this, when you look at the post trio, O'Donnell, Hawkins, and Falai combined for 28 points, and in a game where they've scored just 54, that's a big chunk of what they did offensively.
3-ball on the way is off by Carter. Follow is thrown up and in by Gabrielle Reuter, who's got 12 points. Carrie Fair calls the timeout with 15 seconds left.
That's a 30-second timeout.
Skyhawks are out of timeouts, inconsequential at this point. Men's game coming up, usually about 20 minutes or so after this one ends. So, yeah, we'll be starting on time. Carrie Fair called the 30-second timeout there.
Now these two teams will see each other again down the road, the penultimate game of the regular season on February 23rd. And you wonder how these teams will come into that game, what the standings will look like. Are we talking about playoff spots or playoff positioning?
Inbound pass deflected, out of bounds. It'll be Stonehill ball. Good defense by the Skyhawks. However,
if there is a bright spot in this game, Charlie, for Stonehill, it's defensively. They continue to play well defensively.
And a blocking foul will be called on Morgan O'Donnell, who just picked up her 4th foul.
She may have been set. I think she may have been in the circle, though. I'm not sure what explanation that Kerry Fair is getting.
Jennifer Warden with 5 points, all coming here in this 4th quarter. Jen Warden has struggled from the free throw line, but she makes 2 there. Another timeout, Assumption.
No, they just turned it over last time. 7 points is a lot to make up in 8.8 seconds. But as a coach, you play it out, and you think about these situations and how to execute if it's a 2-point game or a 1-point game down the line. So I'm sure she was not happy with the turnover last time around. And she would like to have a cleaner entry this time and obviously get to the line and nail this one down and make it 4 wins in a row for the Greyhounds. They get a little break after this, too. They have some time off. They're actually going into exams, and then they have a non-league game against Caldwell, and not this weekend, but the weekend after. At the long winding road of a college basketball season.
Yep.
This will give Trish Brown an opportunity to go back in the gym and practice, and again, start to work, get back to work, especially at the offensive end, and trying to figure out ways to get other players involved and get them into positions where they're more comfortable scoring. There are certain players that, Stonehill has a lot of players here that do certain things well, but you're not going to ask Gabby Reuter to shoot threes. You're not going to ask Grace Carter to post up. But if you can find ways to get these players in position where they can take advantage of their pluses offensively, then you can start to get more consistent offense across the board.
Imana Capiccioni and foul by Reuter. Brianna Capiccioni, a 76% free throw shooter.
Now she averages 10.5 a game and steps to the line with 7. And she's another player who has taken a nice step forward this year. And I said it right at the top that the Assumption is really ahead of their timeline in terms of their development.
3 seconds, 2 inside. There's a couple for Gabrielle Reuter at the horn, and that will end it. Final score, game 1 of our doubleheader. Assumption Greyhounds 55, Stonehill College 49 with the win. The Greyhounds improved to 4-2 in the NE10. They are now 6-3 overall, and with the loss, Stonehill falls to 4-2 in NE10 play. They are now 7-2 overall. Let's take a look at the quick look at the scoring summary from tonight. For the Skyhawks, Gabrielle Reuter finished with a dozen. Grace Carter with 10. Taylor Warnham, Maudie Diabate, 7 apiece. Jen Warden with 6. Emily Bramante with 3. Madison Seymour 2. Kelsey Shaw, Bella Santoro, Morgan O'Brien all played and did not score. For the Assumption Greyhounds, excuse me, led by Jordan Hawkins, who had 11 points and 12 rebounds. She was terrific. Temi Falai, 9 points. Morgan O'Donnell with 8. Megan Reen, Brianna Capiccioni, 7 apiece. Abby McKenna with 6. Megan Cram, 4. Brittany LeBlanc, 2. Catherine Golden played and did not score. And the Hounds have themselves a win, and the men are next.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good things for Stonehill. Like I said, the defense was really good. And for the Stonehill team, they're in the varying stages of development. So, you're going to drop some games, and in particular if your top scorer is unavailable. So back to the drawing board for Stonehill. Another challenge coming up on Saturday. For Assumption, a really good win. They did what they had to do, took advantage of their opportunities, and they deservedly end up winning the game.
All right, we'll take about a 20-minute break. The men are already out on the floor warming up. We'll be back with Game 2, Stonehill and Assumption, in just about 20 minutes.